to Ahead of the Curve podcast. This is season 1, episode number 4.
Hey, how you doing, Andreas?
Good. How are you?
Doing good,
Can you
doing
hear
good. Were you working from home today?
Yes, for the last 3 months now.
Oh, okay. I just
No,
didn't know if,
almost 3 months. 2 months.
wow, you could have gone through a whole entire probation period at home. Nobody knows what you
I
work
know.
like.
I know. It's been getting used to, but I used to work from home and I got pretty used to it. But then when you go back out into the field, or go back to visiting clients, going to an office, and doing that schedule, you forget that it is good to get out of the house.
Alrighty, cool. That is the go sign. So viewers today, thank you for tuning in for yet another Ahead of the Curve podcast. Coach K is with us. She is just grabbing her coffee out of the machine. We were struggling on who gets the creamer today. So I ended up getting the creamer, by the way. So
I got a little bit. Hi, Andres.
Hi, Coach K. How are you?
I'm awesome. How's it going?
Good. Can't complain.
Very good, very good.
1 second, let me grab
Very
my
blessed,
pen and we will get started here.
So sorry.
Okay. You guys didn't spike your coffee, did you?
No.
I spiked mine with a little love.
Right.
Nothing but love, nothing but love.
Whew, true that.
So today we're going to be having an insurance specialist with us today. We're going to be talking about some key, things to look out for and help you stay ahead of the curve. And so without further ado, I'm going to have the vivacious Crystal introduce none other than Mr. Andreas Sylva.
No.
All right, no problem. Just hang tight.
You gotta love it when technology works. It was working perfectly 15 minutes ago.
All right, here we go.
Right.
I guess the internet's just a little bit slow. So usually when we were doing these, Andreas, we would be meeting up somewhere in Winter Park, at a little coffee shop. I don't know if you've been down Park Avenue, and just talking about, some of the things that help the average American stay ahead of the curve. And we've had a financial planner, we've had a tax debt resolution attorney, and we've also had a home warranty specialist. So without further ado, we're about to get started. Viewers, make sure you subscribe, like the channel. Every Thursday, 7 p.m., we go live on Facebook and YouTube.
All right, so a little bit about Andres, and I just kind of want to introduce you by just asking you a few questions and just kind of introduce yourself. But again, I just want to thank you so much for being here. So first of all, Andres, where are you originally from? What is a little bit about you that we might not know and what our viewers might not know? And you have children. Who is Andres?
Yeah. So my name is Andreas Sylva. However you want to. I was born in South Florida, Hollywood, Florida, to be exact. Grew up there all my life. Decided I needed to get out, though. Explore other parts of Florida, I guess, not the country, but ended up moving to the west coast of Florida, Fort Myers in 2010. Yes. I worked for a life insurance company at that point, and I was there for a year in Fort Myers. I was in my 20s. I wanted to move to a bigger city, not as big as where I'm from, but, a little bit bigger than Fort Myers. So in 2012, I decided to take the operation over here to Orlando. Still life insurance, stayed in insurance. I got into insurance after the financial crisis of '08. By trade, originally, I'm a mortgage broker. I was in the mortgage industry since '03. worked there for 6 years. No, yeah, 6 years more or less. Obviously, we all know what happened in '08, which, by the way, is not the same. I mean, in my opinion, I know there's a lot of different opinions on this topic, but I really don't feel that the issue that happened in '08 is really correlated to what's going on right now. It's not the same, because in '08, there was a lot of loans, a lot of debt that was irresponsibly taken, and pretty much as a society, we brought that upon ourselves, in my opinion.
Yeah,
But this right here has nothing to do with, irresponsible spending. I mean, I will say I heard it was getting there, a lot of looser lending laws and things like that. And, people are, easily able to buy homes, but it wasn't it hasn't even gotten to the point of what it was in '08 and
Right.
before. So this really, it's a tragedy, because, you have your average hardworking American that, has been paying for their mortgage and paying their bills and living the American dream. And all of a sudden, the strikes in March, well, officially strikes in March, to where we're all locked down, and, people start losing their jobs. But anyways, to not get off topic. So
It's okay.
insurance,
So,
I started
yeah, so tell
insurance
us
in
a little bit more
09,
about-
and I haven't looked back.
That's awesome. So, I mean, kind of starting out, since we're on this COVID topic, what does your day look like now? What is the COVID-19 environment for you?
So the COVID-19 environment it's been challenging not being able to see people, because I'm more of a face-to-face person. But, you adapt, and, technology has been very helpful, to the point where actually I am starting to realize that I can do this, job more on this platform than, going out. And I mean, I still think there needs to be a human element, face-to-face at some point, but a lot of it can be done on these platforms now, especially since I cover wholesale insurance for the entire country. Well, not the entire country, 37 states, but, it's kind of difficult for me to be in Texas and California and, Arizona, and just to name a few of the states that we write business in for brokers. So COVID, I mean, again, it's impacted the way I'm doing my business, the way I'm getting business. It has become more networking now, for sure.
Uh-huh.
Networking definitely has been helping, referrals, word of mouth. I mean, I've been in the business for a while, so I mean, almost everyone and friends of friends know that I do insurance to some degree. So, that's been helpful as well. But yes, the effect has been how I find the business.
Awesome. So tell me a little bit more about, we have your information, just so that way if anybody has any questions, they can definitely get a hold of you later on, at a later time. But we just want to kind of know a little bit more about what you specialize in. So what exactly do you specialize in?
Okay, so what Shield is we're a program manager. We developed a specialized contractor program with Nationwide that we provide commercial insurance for contractors in the construction industry. We provide the types of insurance that we provide for contractors at this time is general liability, excess liability, and I'll go over what all these are in a sec. Workers' comp insurance and inland marine. So typically, if you're any sort of a contractor, whether you have employees or not, you're going to need some sort of general liability coverage, to protect your work, what you do, So in the event, you messed up someone's roof, or, didn't do a proper job or whatnot, and you're being sued now, that's what the general liability protects, one of the things. But it's always a good thing to have, especially if you're in the contracting business. But it's good for any business owner to have, to be honest with you. Even if you're an insurance agency or agent like myself and just have an office, I want to have general liability for the premises, the location. So if you were to come on my premises and slip and fall or whatnot, I'm protected against a lawsuit.
Okay.
Excess liability, we provide that up to $5 million in coverage, which goes above and beyond the $2 million cap that we provide on the general liability side. That covers above and beyond what the general liability would cover. It provides an extra, some people call it umbrella, we call it excess, but it has different types of coverage levels for the insured. Inland marine, I'm going to skip over to the last one real quick because there's a myth and a madness. Inland marine is small tools coverage. So let's say you're a landscaper, and you have your lawnmower, you have your trimmer or whatnot, you have your small tools. We provide small tools coverage for contractors up to $75,000 of coverage with a low deductible, $1,000, so they can get from $5,000 coverage to $75,000 coverage. And then obviously workers' comp. That's pretty big in this state because it's very hard, especially for contractors, to get any sort of work, or new contractors to get workers' comp insurance. And then there's a lot of issues that go on in the back end, that if a contractor, had a lapse in coverage, meaning the policy canceled, or, they were out of work for a while, there's little different things that affect the ability for a contractor to get workers' comp insurance. And you do, as a contractor, anything in the construction industry as the first employee. So aside from you, if you have even one employee, you have to have workers' comp insurance for them.
I see.
So now those are the 4 lines of insurance Shield offers. What I do and what we do is we work directly with the broker, so the insurance agent.
Okay.
We wholesale. We don't, Shield does not sell it retail. So what I do is I go out and, look for insurance agents, brokers, to provide them a market through Shield, which the insurance carrier that they are receiving is a very well-known and reputable carrier called Nationwide Insurance Company. That is the carrier that we developed the program with. So to say, as a contractor, that you're getting a policy that's on Nationwide Insurance Company's paper is pretty big, and it's a good market to have. I remember when I started my insurance agency, retail insurance agency in 2014, which I sold in December of this past year, to get into the wholesale business. The biggest issues I had when I first started is finding markets, finding a carrier that'll be able to allow me to provide that type of insurance, especially workers' comp for a contractor. So in a nutshell, that's what we do. Hello.
Yeah, we're still here. We can hear you.
Okay.
Yeah, keep going.
Okay, we kind of cut off for a second. All right, and so types of referrals I would be looking for, or I typically call on, or any sort of insurance broker, whether they do, even if they do personal lines and a little bit of commercial insurance, any sort of insurance agent that has any sort of business, walk in their door and ask them if they provide commercial or business insurance. Shield will be able to help that insurance broker provide that customer or that insured with the proper coverage that they would need.
Awesome. So my next question, Andreas, is so your customer client interaction is just strictly on a wholesale basis. So you deal with just the companies, or do you deal with the HR representative? Forgive me kind of coming in from a layman's standpoint here. Can you kind of break it down a little further for me?
No, we deal. Yeah, we just like you said, we deal with the wholesale agent, with the broker, and the broker deals with the agent, with the insured. Words tied. Now, in my opinion, obviously, in Florida, if you drive a vehicle, you have to have insurance, which means what? There's a big, huge possibility that you have an insurance agent, right? Yeah. So that is pretty much the way I'm seeing it. Not everyone can tell me, oh, I don't know, you're looking for insurance agents, but I don't have a pocketbook full of insurance agents I can refer you to go talk to. Well, I mean, that's, at first I thought, yeah, how does that work? But no, it's at the end of the day, again, everyone has an insurance agent. So if you have 100 contacts in your phone, that's 100 insurance agents, or let's say even if it's 70% of them have insurance agents and the other 30 go direct to the company, that's a lot more insurance agents I can get in front of to provide our market for.
Okay, awesome. Awesome.
So Andreas, my next question is, what happens, how does your industry reintegrate after the lockdown is over? Once the, what's your post-pandemic forecast?
So believe it or so we like I said, we focus on construction contractors, for anywhere from roofers to GCs, general contractors, air conditioning contractors, landscapers, carpenters, anything and everything that has to do with construction contracting for the most part. And all the classes that we do is on our website as well. But to answer your question, really, and don't get me wrong, the whole pandemic has affected the business a little bit. And when I say a little bit, I mean, we're not getting as many more like applications as we used to, but we're still writing business. And the reason why is because construction and contractors, for the most part, are and have been essential. If you think about it, a house has to get their lawn still done. There's a landscaper. We pretty much were entering, although we have had some crazy weather. Hello? Can you hear me? Yeah. We have had some crazy weather, but at the end of the day, there's a lot of people that have been overrunning their air conditioning units probably, especially when it's, 90 degrees outside. So if those ACs haven't been serviced, there's a AC contractor. So most of the construction contractors that we've dealt with through brokers have not significantly felt the impact. Now, the impact I will say that we've seen that has been, we've noticed is on the workers' comp side. And the reason why is because workers' comp is based off of payroll. It's based off of what your employees are being paid payroll. So, though the work's been there, we have noticed somewhat in some companies, depending on the state too, that, the employee count has been lowered, which means the total cost of the policy overall has dropped because it's based off of a lower payroll, less employees because either they've been laid off, not needed, because the jobs aren't coming as regularly or not as big. So that has been somewhat of a COVID issue for our clients. How do we get past that? I mean, to be honest with you, only time will tell.
Yeah. Awesome. So just a few things that we want to know is what are some of your key business success? Maybe like, how do you schedule your schedule throughout the day? Some of the practices that you practice, do you read? What type of books do you read? What do you do as an entrepreneur, as a business owner?
Well, I mean, my day is a mixture of calling on current brokers that we already do business with, going over new. We just had a new product roll out a couple weeks ago, which is the inland marine product. I mean, we always had inland marine, but we increased those limits. So, my weeks have consisted of calling brokers, reminding them that we're here, reminding them that our rates are competitive. By the way, we do have very competitive rates. Calling on new brokers. So last month, even with the pandemic the way it was, we signed up 20 brokers in the month of April in Florida.
Wow.
Well, in Florida and a couple in California and Texas. But for the most part, yeah, that was Florida, and that was me calling on just new brokers, sending emails, just being that person that's just in front of your face, If you're not in front of someone's face, then they forget about you, stop using you. Eventually.
Most definitely.
The name of the game. I'm sorry?
Just a little bit, what are you guys doing to kind of gear up for the post-pandemic, because I mean, with the, you know, with everything opening back up, have you guys been doing anything special or maybe gearing up to kind of open back up with everything opening back up?
Well, all right. So the biggest, it's not that I haven't been able to get out and visit people. I mean, obviously here or in Florida, we really didn't even go into a lockdown until like one of the last states that did, and we're one of the first states to come out of it. So it's not, and insurance is classified as essential. The biggest issue has been, and I agree, you know, completely, that it should be this way, is that insurance brokers and their agencies, they're not letting people in. They're not letting clients in the door. They're doing everything over the phone, which is fine. I mean, an agency can definitely run virtually now, 100% in my opinion. You don't have to have a brick and mortar anymore. I mean, the brick and mortar is good to have a physical presence, but you truly don't need one to run a successful insurance agency. So when this whole thing started, that's one thing I noticed. I was still going out and pulling on brokers' doors that I haven't talked to. And I find myself, there's people in there, but the door's locked. So and again, it's because they want to protect their staff and they want to protect the client too. What if the staff has contracted something?
Right.
So what I see, I definitely think that that's going to stick for a little bit, at least, you know, until we see what happens in the next couple months with this. So that could be a little bit challenging, you know, but I'm already finding ways to get around that, obviously, you know, go there and maybe, you know, talk to the little mail hole at the door, or maybe just call them while I'm outside so we can just look at each other while we're talking now. But again, no, post-pandemic, I mean, if anything's taught, these last 2 months have taught us anything, is that we do have a great tool in technology.
Right.
We can continue doing this. I mean, it is something to get used to for some people. Even me, I really don't like videos or podcasts. To be honest, I'm just kidding. But just, you know, it's just getting used to being in front of a camera and talking to who knows how many people are going to be viewing this.
Right, definitely.
So
once you get past that mindset, which, you know, it's not hard to get past,
Yeah.
I think you can accomplish anything with these platforms.
Definitely, most definitely.
Thanks a lot, Andreas. We were just experiencing a little technical difficulty. One of our cameras went out, so we're firing the backup right now. So I hope everyone can see us and hear us clearly. But the next topic we wanted to talk about was, you know, kind of curving the topic. So, you know, for anybody out there that wants you guys' services, you know, how do you guys help them stay ahead of the curve or prevent from falling behind?
How to, when you get behind when you're using your services. Oh, I got you. So, all right, again, like for instance, workers' comp is based off of payroll. So for the most part, we like to see policies be on that aspect on a pay-as-you-go. What that means is you're pretty much paying it as you run payroll. So it's kind of hard to get behind on that end. On the general liability side, you know, yeah, we have had some clients that, you know, have asked for, you know, payment extensions or whatnot. And we're granting them. I mean, you know, the insurance industry is very, you know, I know we get a bad rap sometimes with, you know, all the stuff that goes on, but for the most part, for instance, you know, with auto insurance, I can speak on, just using as an example, I know some companies, including companies like Geico, are giving back or refunding premium because what's happened is in the last 2 months there haven't been as many car accidents, you know, and it's just not just them. A lot of them are doing that. So that's one thing that insurance companies are doing to prevent people from getting behind, you know, giving grace periods, longer grace periods on payment due, you know, definitely not charging late fees. You know, or avoiding them. Yeah, things like that.
Well, that's awesome. I mean, that definitely is helping these business owners because there's so many business owners that are going out of business, that just can't afford certain things. So I think that's awesome that your company is doing that. Another thing that we wanted to ask is following off of that question, how would a company actually get started with you? Would they contact you directly? Would they go to the corporate website, your personal website? How would they get started if they needed you?
Either way, they can contact me, which I prefer, so that way we can go over a couple of things beforehand. I like to know a little bit about the agency and what their goals are and directions before we get them signed up. But I mean, right now we are we're appointing agents, so we haven't closed the door. There will become a time, I'm sure, and probably the next year or two, that we'll have way more agents that we can handle, and I'll just I'll have to very much limit who we bring on as a partner. But for right now, we are appointing. You can go on our website, www.shieldins.net, click on register as a producer, fill out the online agency form. It's very quick, one page, and upload the agency errors and omissions policy and agency license for each state that you're in. And we get you approved immediately. And we have, here's another great thing that we have and we provide for our insurance partners is an online rating system. So it's an online portal. If you go to our website, you'll notice on the top right, there's a login button. Everything is online. You don't have to download anything. We have an online rater. Once you log in, you go ahead and click new quote, and you can go ahead and input all the insured's information pertinent to get a price. And they'll get their price right there on that first screen.
Okay.
Pretty much within 5 minutes, they'll know what the base price is.
Very cool.
Awesome. You actually just covered our next three questions because we were actually going to ask, what do clients need to make a request? So, you kind of just answered that, because you guys have got an online portal. And so obviously just username and password. Or do they have to have an account number or?
No, we give them user credentials and a producer ID.
Okay.
All righty, awesome. And then
once they're approved, they'll be able to use that.
Awesome.
So just to piggyback off the topic at hand, what other online resources do you guys have available? Is it just all throughout that portal? Is it kind of like a blackboard for insurance per se?
Well, what do you mean by online resources? Like information about our product or?
Correct. So,
right.
if say I've got a company that's got 10 employees and I want to find out, number one, what do I need? Past general liability and, what other options do I have when it comes to workers' comp, et cetera, et cetera.
So again, remember, I work with the insurance agent, not the customer. So, and that was one of the main reasons, not main reasons, but I wanted to, I've always been in retail insurance. So I always was that guy that spoke with the insured, so we had to analyze and see what would be best for you. Now I'm working with the insurance agent, which already went through that with the client. So by the time they get to me, they pretty much already know what the insured needs.
I see. Okay, awesome.
So at that point, the agent is just picking from a kind of like a catalog or glossary of services, products, providers, etc.
Okay.
Yep.
Very cool.
They'll be able to go ahead and click, what business they do. Again, let's say landscaper, how much their annual gross receipts are, which is what premium is based off of with our GL. And obviously the reason why is because the more you sell, the more exposure there is and the more risk there is. Definitely. So I do probably forecast that maybe dropping a little bit in the next quarter because, coming off this whole pandemic, there's probably not, we're going to ramp up. I'm sure there's going to be work, but it's, an annual gross receipt for a company that was, let's say, $1 million in a year, even if they start, hitting the ground running as soon as we're all, back to normal, they still lost 2 months, and if they didn't lose 2 months, they lost at least some of that revenue, that would have been more. So I do forecast that there's going to be a lot lower sales. You know, it's still going to be there, but there's going to be less sales, which will be the premium is going to be lower for the insured, which is good.
Right, definitely. Okay.
Oh, awesome. So, and forgive me, this is all new to me. So, you know, I'm one of those inquisitive kids in college that asked the teacher a lot of questions. Okay. So it's the golf nerd in me, you know, shout out to golf nerd.
You're fine.
So, so do you just deal with, obviously you said you've got 38 states, correct? So if somebody is outside
37.
37. Okay. So if someone was outside of Florida, per se, I'm in Georgia or, you know, New Mexico, right? So do you deal with anybody out of state, or do you just personally deal with Central Florida, South Florida, or even North Florida?
I'm the one that deal with everyone in every state. I guess it'd be easier to tell you the states that we don't write in. I apologize, but I'll start with your favorite one. We do not write in New Mexico. We do not write in New Mexico. We do not write in Colorado, and my in-laws live in Colorado. So we don't write in the Northeast at all.
Okay.
Well, we stay away from New England down New York, you know, Pennsylvania we do, but it's right there. We don't write in Washington State. We don't write in Illinois.
Okay.
And we don't write in Alaska.
We got some viewers from Chicago that are going to be a little disappointed in that one.
I apologize for that. But yeah, we don't write in Illinois.
Okay. Now, let me ask you this. I know
at this time, that's not to say we're not going to write later, but at this time, we're
that's
slowly picking up more states.
That's what I wanted to say is I do know that, you know, like insurance is definitely a big thing with the insurance commission and stuff like that, and getting different companies throughout the insurance commission. But so do you have to purchase like your insurance in those states? And is it possible to get into any of those states that you just mentioned, or are they not able to offer those services at all?
No, I mean, wherever the business is domiciled, or you know, headquartered, that's where the insurance is being written out of. But let's say they live in Jacksonville, or you know, and they do work in Georgia, you know, crossover, just to use a closer example. We would have to just add, you know, that they work in Georgia, you know, but the company's domiciled in Florida. So, yeah, we can write insureds in multi-state, you know, as long as we write insurance in there, in that state. They don't have to live in that state to do business in that state and get insurance in that state. As far as us being able to write in those states, I didn't say, it's not that we can, it's just that every state has different regulations, you know, they have different rules, and some are easier to maneuver than others, that's all.
Awesome.
So what happens with like companies that are border companies, you know, that like, say, for example, everyone that's on the Florida, Georgia line, right? So employees work both, like say, for example, Valdosta, right? Georgia, or maybe that's not a good example.
You're in Texas, right?
Yeah, Oklahoma, Texas. Yeah,
Okay,
pretty much that.
So let's say they live on the border between El Paso, Texas and New Mexico. Some of them live like right on the border in New Mexico, but they work in El Paso, Texas. Is it per where they work, or is it per the state?
So it'd be where they work. The exposure is where they work and where it's domiciled. So let's say, for instance, the business you mean is in New Mexico, correct? But they're working.
Actually, a good example would be Duke Energy, right? So they're in what? North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida, correct? So some of their employees work in different states every pay period. So how do you guys do that? their headquarters, I believe, are in Raleigh, North Carolina. But obviously, Duke Energy is in Florida, and they do have Florida branches. If I may be wrong, but I think that's how it works.
Yeah, no, they have coverage in every state that they're in. We just have to we have to know what states they're in. We have to be able to provide coverage in those states. So
Definitely.
Also, the employee has to have a single state insurance, even though, say, for example, he goes out and has an accident in Georgia, but it was written in Florida, that's covered.
Right. Yes.
Okay. Oh, sorry, similar to car insurance.
Yes. Hello.
Yeah.
Hey.
Yeah, can you see us? Can you hear us?
Yep.
Yes, sorry.
2 seconds away from pressing end. No, I'm just kidding.
No, the Mac notebook that just, I guess it needs a service request because it just keeps dying on us. And apologies to all the viewers there. But my last question to you, Andreas, picking up from where we left off.
Just to reiterate, picking up, I do want to stress that obviously every insurance company is different. So I'm not speaking for any, other company.
Yeah, most definitely.
All right.
Cool.
All right.
Well, if the viewers want to get in touch with Andreas, the website is actually on the screen right now. Please reach out to them, and do mention that, you kind of heard about, the services through the Ahead of the Curve podcast. Andreas, again, thank you so much for your wealth of knowledge. I took down some seriously good notes and very educational. Thank you so much.
Awesome. Thank you for having me. Next time you're being interviewed.
Awesome. Thank you, Andres. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Coach K. You have a good one.
Thank you.
All right, bye.
Thanks to
No
our
problem.
sponsors, ID Shield Independent Associates, helping protect your most valuable asset, your good name. From Makosa Shops, helping you protect yourself with their face masks. And Makosa Golf, helping you with all your golf needs, from instruction to charity and everything in between. Guys, just FYI, we hope that you guys are staying safe out there. Make sure that you wear your masks. Stay safe. Go to makosashops.com and get you a mask. We appreciate you guys joining us. We hope you have a phenomenal week. And next week, join us again because we have another phenomenal speaker who knows about their industry. They love having fun. They love helping people. We look forward to them coming on. So with that being said, guys, we hope you guys enjoyed your evening. Take care. God bless. And we'll see you guys all over the top.
Adios.